my peoples, what's up? My name is Jason and I'm from the Shelf Stories YouTube channel, and I'm here to review on the Dice Tower today, Cartographers, a role-player tale designed by Jordy Aiden and published by Thunderworks Games. So this is a game for 1 to, I guess, infinity players. And the whole world could play this game simultaneously, and that's definitely a feature of the roll and write genre, of which this is one. So there's writing, there's drawing in particular. You're going to be drawing on a grid map, kind of filling out a world, mapping a land, so to speak, cartographer. And you're reacting to the randomness of cards. The cards are going to present shapes, and the shapes are the things that you draw into the world. It's a very simple puzzly type game, and I definitely recommend any simple puzzly game. I may just do a separate video on those for calmness and just kind of like chilling out and everything. But I used this game in particular, Cartographers, in therapy with children on the autism spectrum. So I want to tell you about all of that after I describe the game at the table. So without further ado, let's go to the videotape. All right, so welcome to the world of Cartographers. So this is the main show. This is the player sheet. And you know it's the main show because you get a whole lot of sheets over there, so you're probably not going to run out anytime soon. This represents an uncharted land. You can see the mountains over here. However, you cannot see anything else, so your job is to go in there, find all the villages, find all the forests, and map it out for the pleasure of the king and the queen. That is the theme. In reality, what you are going to be doing is you're going to be drawing in stuff, and you're going to be scoring, and there you go. Let's have no illusions about that. Okay, so on your turn, you're going to pull a card. And the card is usually going to give you a choice. So in this particular case, I get to draw houses, but I can pick the shape. I can either pick a 3-box shape and get a coin. Coins in this game, in the base game, are points, basically. Or I could draw a bigger shape. So I am going to take my pencil and be clear. These do not come with the base game. This is my daughter's. And as I found out, she killed all of my red pencils, so I have to use brown. Oh, well. So I'm going to pick this shape over here, and I'm going to draw some houses. Oh, man, I am the best artist ever. At least my daughter thinks so. And because I took the coin, I would indicate that over here. That would score me a point when the scoring round hits. Okay, so let's just take a closer look at that. There are my houses. So then I would pass my turn. It would go around, or for the solo game, just kind of take the next one, pull the next card, and it is a temple ruin. So then you just kind of put that there, and if you notice on the sheet, normally you could put the drawing wherever you want, but there is temple spaces flittered about, and you have to draw on top of the temple space. So I'm going to pick another card. The next space has to go in the temple. This one gives me the shape, but it gives me choice of color. I am going to choose brown again, or / red, and finish off. Well, I have to start on the temple space right there. Oh man, so many. I don't think any one of these houses looks the same. That's pretty terrible. Anyway, so you're going to be doing that until you trigger the end of the round. What you're going to be doing to trigger the end of the round is that you're going to be looking at the top of number that is over here and comparing it to the season. It is spring, so it calls for 8 different numbers. It's going to go into summer, fall, and winter, 4 rounds, indicated by the top row over here. So in spring, you're going to be scoring cards A and B, which is, so these are scoring conditions over here, and that's why I have A and B tapped. In summer, I'm going to untap A, and I'm going to tap C. So then obviously you see that the scoring condition will rotate. And then from game to game, these are modular cards. You can choose different scoring conditions. So let's say I am still in spring. I'm scoring this space. The reason I put that cluster there is because in this particular scoring condition, for every 6 houses together, I get 8 points, which is a huge deal. Any further houses that I get, I'm going to want to put somewhere else so I can start that again and get the 8 points every time. Very modular, so you're going to be playing slightly different games every time. So The last card I want to show you is this guy right here. This is a monster. If this was a multiplayer game, this would indicate that you would pass your sheet to the player that is in this particular case counterclockwise. And they would draw this shape in the most inconvenient place possible. That's usually kind of dead spaces. In the solo game, pick that up again. It tells you exactly where to put it on the upper right hand of the game, and I would not change the orientation. So that kind of messes me up a little bit. So then I would draw roar, roar. Oh man, see? This is what happens when I use my daughter's pencils. This one doesn't even stay up. Roar. There you go. So then, there you go. I have 3 fearsome monsters, and those spaces are taken. These getting coins, you get coins from the cards, you get coins from covering the mountains, and that's basically points, and you get points off the top. At the end of the round, you're going to score, and that is the basic flow of Cartographers. I don't normally, recommend that people seek out promos, but in this particular case, I think the promos are really fun. So then these promos are the skills cards. What they are is, usually normally in the base game, the coins are pretty flat. This time you get to use the coin once per round, spend the coin and get some kind of cool power. So in this particular case, I would I would basically discard this card and draw an additional 2x1 shape adjacent to a monster space. So let's say I spent this coin, used Cure Wounds. Oh man, I love Cure Wounds. And then I would put another set of houses here. Okay. And next to the monster spaces, you get a negative for every space adjacent to a monster. Here, I've just blocked it off and neutralized some of the monster's power. Skills are very, very cool. You can get them at the BGG store or from the Thunderworks website. I recommend them if you want to get more life out of this game. All right, so that was Cartographers, a role-player tale with the Skills mini expansion, which I do recommend picking up if you're interested in the base game. It adds a neat little wrinkle. So this is not going to be a normal review. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask for your patience as a viewer because I want to describe the context in which I use this game in therapy, in particular with kids on the autism spectrum. And there's a lot of misinformation. I'll be perfectly blunt, and a lot of people who don't know or make prejudgments about what autism is. And I want to focus on one particular part. Autism is huge. I'm never going to be able to define it in this little game review. But the part that I want to really focus on is the deficit in social interactions. Auto is the Greek word meaning self. So a self that just can't connect, or connect, or trying to connect kind of results in that discomfort and maybe even like big anxious reactions, freakouts, or whatever you call it in your family. There's just an inability to connect with other people in regular social settings. So I want to focus on kind of what's going on in a kid's head that's on the spectrum. I think we can understand it as a deficit in social processing. So think about regular social interactions. I mean, a lot of people don't think about them because, we take them for granted. But if you really break it down, there's like little millions and millions of little bits of data that we have to process very, very fast in order to be able to make it in the social world. I mean, think of the face. Like, I think I've read somewhere like we have millions of little muscles in here, maybe not millions, but a lot. And we're capable of millions of reactions. We can roll our eyes and raise our eyebrows and shift around a little bit, make little body movements, think about interacting with a person. That person reminds me of another person. That person made a move. That time that person made a move, it was bad. I don't know what that person means when they lift their arm. You can go down the list of little ways in which social interactions present all this data, and we have to process it in real time, really fast. Normally, our brains are really good at that, and we take it for granted. It's like, all right, let's just interact socially. With a kid on the spectrum, that functioning is limited. They can't process all of those little interactions quickly, and if it's something that's happening that's not what they're used to, like that's out of their family, or another person, or that same person is reacting differently, they have different looks in their face, there's something going on, they don't know. It's like, error 404 does not compute. And when we don't know things, and this is something that everybody can understand, when you don't know things, then older processing kicks in. Everybody, or most everybody knows what fear is, and protection. It's one of our oldest instincts. And when we're presented with something that we don't know, and a kid on the spectrum can't read those social signs, they're unknown to them, that triggers that fear reaction. Autism spectrum correlates very highly with anxiety, and all those things I talked about before. So I want to equate it to like a computer. That, let's say you have a computer and it's, you want to read a PDF. Only your computer doesn't run Adobe, or your computer, just for whatever reason, you can't make the reader load, so you just can't read PDFs. Doesn't mean the computer's bad. You might be able to do all sorts of other processing and run all sorts of other programs. As a matter of fact, I remember I was a substitute teacher once, and I was in a room with special needs, a lot of kids on the spectrum, and the teacher was saying, "We get these kids pointed in the right direction, they'll cure cancer. These kids are brilliant." Just the processing, the social stuff was definitely need to be worked on. So there might be all sorts of other programs that are running at a kid's head that are great, but there's that social deficit, that lack of social processing, that inability to just have the software that programs social little cues. It's inhibiting them, or people kind of focus on that rather than what they can do. So how do you deal with that? What do you do? In order to rebuild that sense of, any kind of social interaction with an autistic kid, you have to emphasize safe, consistent interactions, familiar interactions, build routines, no surprises, literal. Definitely, I remember working with a kid, and they were saying, one of the person would say, pick up the pace. And a few of the lower functioning kids were looking for something called a pace to pick up. Literal. I'm really like figuring, I mean that. So anything that is comfortable and safe and builds routine and simple, stripping things down as much as you can is going to help you. And a couple years ago, I ran into a thing called Oddcraft. Oddcraft is a server on Minecraft, and Oddcraft is run by a dad, Stuart Duncan, and it is a Minecraft server that is for autistic kids. It has a good social reinforcement, and just the general Minecraft world in general. It's a safe world. Look at the faces. The faces aren't capable of like those millions of little interactions that could freak a kid out. That pixelated art style and the way that Minecraft kind of presents itself, it's so safe and it's so comfortable. And I could see, a autistic kid really falling into that. And it got me thinking, man, Minecraft gaming, helping that stuff up. Is there anything in board gaming that kind of echoes the same function? I told you to get back to Cartographers eventually. These are safe worlds. These are worlds that are simple and stable and logical and orderly. There's no surprises. And, I used the colored pencils, and, I was able to add a little bit of flair, my own flair. These are beautiful worlds. I can do this, on that, strategic and then that thematic end that I like to talk about in other reviews. Just strategically in terms of how you construct the world. It's so simple. The blocks, they come and they're orderly. They've just flowing one at a time, Tetris-like. And you place them in one at a time, and it's just very nice to be able to, have that steady, calm influx of new things, kind of like, when you're playing Minecraft and you kind of run into a new set of materials, or it's just there and it's safe and it's, it makes sense. So they're building the world, and they have something orderly to kind of come to. And from an imaginative thematic end, obviously this is a roll and write, not a very thematic game, but you can tell stories off of it. So in this particular game, I happen to get a lot of monsters, which, by the way, even monsters in this game are orderly. They show up, they land, and they do. There's nothing. There's no challenge. There's nothing there to surprise or make a kid on the spectrum just wonder what's going on. And I was able to tell a story of forest. Like almost like the elves kind of. The monsters showed up, and then the elves kind of like marshaled themselves to cover. I think the same thing happened down here, where there was the elves kind of set themselves up, and then they were able to catch the monsters coming in. So you can tell some really really good stories, warm stories, fun stories, which are the kind of stories that I like to tell in this situation. And just the general presentation is also very very cool. So I mean, I think this game is excellent. I mean, it is 8 out of 10 seal of excellence. I'm always going to have this game in my collection and available in my therapy. I can't say enough great things about Cartographers, Role Player Tale, and I gave you one example, and there's other ones too, about how you can use this and other puzzly games to promote calmness and to promote that feeling of safety that people with anxiety, whether you're on the autistic scale or not, that everybody needs that sense of safety. So thank you very much. This is Jason reminding you, if you can change your mind, you can change the world. So until next time, later, everybody.